All right, so just for the first 20 minutes or so of class, we're going to start doing some multiple choice, right? So that we don't have to spend a whole hour and a half struggling with whatever the big topic is, and we can start building up our bank of answers for closer to exam time, right? So I always ask students to label the multiple choice paper that they're answering, right? And so that means we are doing January paper 1, 2017. So January 2017, right? And I also always ask students to number 1 to 60. You're just writing a letter for your answers so you could fit everything on a page. That way you create an answer sheet that is organized and you could find it when you're looking back and revising on your own, right? So I would put, if this were a full page, I would put 6 rows of 10, or you could do it however you want, 2 rows of 30, or 12 rows of 5, whatever, right? All right, so let's get started with this. And also, I know you all have heard me say this before, and some of you know on your own, these questions repeat. They repeat exactly as they are written. So it's in your best interest to do as many as you can before your exam, right? All right. The manager decided to inform the staff about all, oh wait, we didn't read the instructions. That is a problem because sometimes they ask for synonyms and sometimes they ask for opposites. I have to read to know which one. All right, so we are looking for the opposites. The manager decided to inform the staff about all complaints received from customers. So what is the opposite of complaints? We have requests, demands, suggestions, compliments. If I complain about you, Shanika, sorry, I'm asking a question that you're not answering, right? What email address did you use to submit? Not my address, but your address. If I cannot search for the email address, I'm not gonna see it, right? All right. Right. So the opposite of complaints is D, good, compliments. If I complain, I talk about something bad that somebody did. If you complain, you point out something bad that they did. If you compliment them, you point out something good that they did, right? All right, there was a decline in airplane travel after the September 11, 2001 attacks. Is it decline means that it went down, right? So we have increased upheaval, decreased fluctuation. So good. Increase. Remember, we're looking for opposites. And because exams are tricky, they will often put in a synonym, right? So decrease is a synonym, but we need the opposite. So A, right? In these difficult economic times, many organizations retrench workers only when absolutely necessary. What does it mean to retrench? To retrench means to fire or lay off. So why are people telling me dismiss? Dismiss is what it means to retrench. That's correct. But what does it mean to we want the opposite. So the opposite of firing will be employing, right? So number 3 is B, right? All right, number 4, while the employers approve of his work habits, his radical views, the objective is radical views. So somebody's radical views are their very strange and unique views that not everybody agrees with. All right, so conventional D. And what about number 5? Many teenagers and even some parents do not agree with the amount of restrictiveness in today's society. So the opposite of restrictiveness and restriction is letting people do what they want. So permissiveness, right? So 5 is C. Okay, so 4 was conventional D and 5 is C, permissiveness, right? All right, let's go on to the others. All right, so these take a little bit more energy. For people who are meeting it for the first time, right? Each sentence in this section is followed by 4 sentences, A, B, C, and D. Choose the sentence nearest in meaning to the original sentence. Read all 4 sentences before you choose your answer, which is very important, right? Read all 4. If you make a mistake, reading 4 of them will help you realize the mistake and correct it, right? All right. The other thing is when you get this paper in the exam, it's your paper, write on it, right? Write on the questions. Don't only write in the answer paper part, write in the questions. So we are going to scratch things out. As soon as we figure out a piece that is different from the original, we will draw a line. The lion, which had fallen ill, was lying in his den, famished and upon the point of death. The famous lion, did they call the lion famous? No, they didn't, right? So that is wrong. We don't have to read the rest. As a result of that sentence, as a result of being starved, well, did they say he was starved? If he was starved, that means people didn't give him food. So that seems a little different from the original, but let's just double check. The lion collapsed in his den, sick and near death. Well, they didn't exactly say collapsed. They said had fallen ill, right? The famished lion, all right, that's okay. On the point of death, yes, he was on the point of death, had fallen ill. He had fallen ill while lying in his den. Did he get sick while he was in his den? This part seems a little different. The sick lion was lying in his den, extremely hungry and on the point of death. That's it, right? Number 6D. Let me see what y'all are saying in the chat. Okay, so look back at why C is not the answer. C says he was on the point of death and he had gotten that way while he was lying down in his den. So he was he was lying in his living room and then he fell ill. But this says, no, he fell ill. He could have fallen ill in his living room, or he could have fallen ill in the kitchen, or he could have fallen ill at the mall. And then he made it back to his living room, which is his den. And he was starving and he was about to die, right? So we have to go with D. The difference is C is when he falls ill. All right, number 7 now. You can send your answer if you think you have it, but we're doing the same method. John told his parents in no uncertain terms that he was going to university as soon as he left school. So, let me write this down before I forget. 6D, right? All right. John boasted to his parents. Okay, is told the same as boasted? Probably not. John told his parents, that's the same, that they should permit him to go to, okay, so he's asking for permission in this one. But up here, he didn't ask for permission. He said in no uncertain terms. So that is different, right? So not that one. John made it quite clear to his parents that when he left school, he would go to university immediately. All right, in no uncertain terms is like quite clear. He's going to university as he left school. That seems like it could be it, but we're going to read all. John's parents were told that it was obviously his desire. So who told John's parents? Obviously his desire to attend university immediately after leaving school. So this word told, it leaves out the fact that John told them. So 7, like you all have said, is C. All right, I'm going to do 8 with you again, and then 9 and 10, I'm going to ask you to try on your own. I cannot understand why you have done this since you tell me that mark means a lot to you. Since mark means a lot to you, the reason for your action is puzzling to me. Possibly, right? Since you tell me that mark means a lot to you, he cannot understand. Nope, it's not he cannot understand. It's I cannot understand. You tell me that although mark means a lot to you, you did this. So what is missing? The understand part. So not this one, right? Mark cannot mean a lot to you, or else I know you would not have done this. So not the same. I know you would not is not the same as I cannot understand, right? So this is B. All right, so 8 is B. I'm gonna wipe away these scribbles. And I encourage you to use the same method. Read all of them. And when you find a piece that is different, scratch it out. Hard to do on the screen, but I mean in the real part. Number 8, sorry, to go back to number 8. Sorry, did we say A? Yeah, my bad. I wrote the wrong answer. Sorry. Thank you guys for correcting me. All right, number 8 is 8. Okay, 9 and 10. All right, number 9. Realizing that her suitcase was left on the bus, the woman desperately tried to attract the conductor's attention. This question gets repeated over and over. When the desperate woman noticed that she was leaving the bus without her suitcase. All right, so this is different, right? Was she leaving the bus without her suitcase? It makes it, she left the bus. She left the bus and then she realized it was there, right? So this is different. When the woman became aware that she had left her suitcase, she tried her best to attract the attention of the bus conductor. Yes, good. When is the same as realizing? So this is the answer most people chose for 9. Let's look at C. The woman made all attempts to attract the conductor's attention to the suitcase, which she had left on the bus. All right, so all attempts is different from desperately tried, but then also his attention to the suitcase is different from she was trying to get his attention, right? The conductor's attention was attracted. Well, this is completely different because it doesn't say that. Right? So this is number 9 is B, right? Okay, let's look at 10. Everybody double check their answer for 10. Much is being done to develop tourism in our country by providing good hotel accommodation and facilities. It is important to provide, okay, so it doesn't say it's important to provide, it says a lot is being done, right? Good hotel accommodation and facilities are crucial. So this is the same as A. It's saying that they are crucial, but that's not what the original said. It said much is being done. Like actually, hotels are being improved, facilities are being improved, they're being built, whatever, right? We are doing a great deal to boost tourism. That seems we are doing is the same as much is being done. I don't know why I'm underlining it. Right? By providing good hotel accommodation and facilities. So that seems like it. If we do not provide good hotel accommodation and facilities, that is not what it says, right? It says we are doing it. Tourists will not come to our country. So, all right, so 10 is actually C. So if you got C, give yourself a pat on the back. Of all the questions in paper 1, this type of question is my most hated because it's just hard to concentrate on. And if it's hot and you're tired and it just saps your energy, and really, I hate them. I don't know how you all feel about them. But the good news is they don't always come and you could practice to get ready for them, right? All right, let's see if we could do the others quickly. These take a lot of time, but I think the others are just short answers, right? All right, I want to change the screen. Does the question repeat? Yes. Now, this specific group of 5 may not repeat together, but they will repeat. The answer for 10, and I did it again. Yeah. All right, let this be a lesson to you all. Learn from my mistakes. Make sure you shade the correct answer. Right. Thank you. All right. Let's clear away the scribbles and the highlights. and move. Let's see if we can get through the next 10 quickly. All right, so in this set now, what are the instructions? Select A, B, C, or D that best describes each of the sentences. Mark your choice on the answer sheet. So A, if it is good, A is no error. B, if it has a cliche or a misused metaphor. C, if the sentence is incorrect grammatically, so there's a grammar mistake or a diction mistake. So they use the wrong word, right? Like they use compliments. Just now we met compliments, or that is the word that they want, but they use the other compliments. Right? So this is the one for praise. This is what they mean by diction, right? The wrong word. And they use this complement, which means like to go well with, to match. Right? All right. Or the sentence is too wordy, repetitive, or has redundancies, much like D, actually, because all these three things mean the same thing. All right. Cliche or misused metaphor. I don't want to spend too much time on it right now because the main issue is statistics for today. But so I'll just remind us that a cliche is an overused expression. And the instructions say misused, but it's really more helpful if you think of it as a mixed metaphor, right? Mixed as in two things coming together. So if you compare, if you start off comparing something to a forest, but then by the end of the sentence, you are in the ocean, that is a mixed metaphor. If you start with a forest, stay with a forest. If you start with the ocean, stay with the ocean, right? But again, one good thing is these repeats. Okay, so let's do 11 and 12 together. And then you will try 13, 14, 15 on your own. There are many who have not considered the need to abstain from alcohol, but abandoning drink for sobriety is truly the only option for one who wishes to engage in healthy lifestyle practices. All right, what can we rule out? Anybody sees a grammar mistake? So then it's not C, right? Anybody sees a cliche or a misused metaphor? So those are okay, right? So then we're between A and D. So to figure out whether or not it's wordy, we have to look and see if there's a more concise way to say any of the things they have said. There are many who have not considered. Well, generally, if I have the expression there are, there is, it is, right? I could take that out. And I could just say many have not considered the need to, could be abstaining from alcohol. But, and I could even leave out abandoning drink. And I could say sobriety is truly the only option for one who wishes to engage in healthy lifestyle practices, could be the same as be healthy. Right? So you all can see how this would be D. So 11, we're going to put D. Right? All right, so all I'm doing when I write in number 11 is trying to see if I could take out things without changing the meaning. And if I could take out words without changing the meaning, then that means it's wordy or it has redundancies or it's repetitive, right? Okay. All right. Number 12. But no, one other thing I will say about the repetitive ones, they don't always sound like something is wrong with them. Because this is a sentence you would write in an essay and nobody is going to take off marks for you being wordy. They will think, oh, you've used nice language. But here the point is to really get to the point as soon as possible, I guess. Right. All right. He wanted to beg for his old job, but that ship had sailed and he had to simply play the hand that was dealt him. That ship had sailed. So here we have a boat. And here he is in the boat. Sad. And then here we are with a hand of cards. Now, based on what I told you about above, about a mixed metaphor, Can you see how this is a mixed metaphor? Or even cliches, right? Because the ship has sailed is a cliched expression, like a idiomatic expression. Yeah. It's kind of ironic when you learn primary school, we teach you all these things and we tell you use them in your composition and all these things. And then you get to secondary school and we say, no, these are tired and overused. Don't use them anyway. So, but that's what is happening, right? So the ship had sailed is a cliche, play the hand that was dealt you is a cliche, but also it's a mixed metaphor, right? So that is B. 12 is B. All right, let's do 13 together, and then I'm going to give you time to do 14 and 15. To attract more business, the store offered transportation at no expense to the customer. Now, some people might be thinking at no expense could be free, and then that would be a shorter word than at no expense. Since that is the only example in the sentence of something you could remove or change or reduce in words, I personally would leave it and not flag that as an error. Right? Because it's just one thing as opposed to up in number 11 where we had, sorry, multiple things, right? All right, good. So for 13, we could say no error. A no error, right? All right, so try 14 and 15. 1 minute for that. All right, 14, you're not telling me C, which is correct. But can you tell me what the error is in 14? And then 15, let's look at 15. So think about it. 14, if I were the captain of the West Indies cricket team, I will attack the batsman with my fast bowlers immediately after the lunch interval. Ah, Sharika, yes, you are correct. Batsman is more than one, but it's supposed to be more than one. And Elijah, yes, you are correct too. And Alfreda, yes, you are correct too. Okay, good. So the issue is the will. It should be I would. So nobody is going to tell me I would. Beautiful. All right. So I was subjunctive. You are not, well, you are not presently the captain of the West Indies. Sorry, you are not at present the captain of the West Indies cricket team, right? Some of you have the potential to become that. I don't know. But it is what we call an extremely unlikely situation for most people, right? So we use a tense or mood in English that we don't often use, the subjunctive. Here's another example with it that would be clearer. If I something, the Queen of England, I will never be the Queen of England, right? I'm not born in the correct bloodline. I don't live in England. I'm not from England. So it's not if I was. No, we say if I would, right? And then it's followed by would. I would attack the batsman, right? And even though it sounds strange, it is batsmen because we're talking about the whole team, the whole group of them, whoever the people are that are batting. All right, so 14 is error, grammar error. 15 from the examination results, it was quite clear that Joanne's work was not up to mark, and so she missed the boat. So, all right, missed the boat, you could tell cliche, not up to mark, cliche. Yeah, although this is kind of wordy, right? But it has more cliches than it has wordiness, more a mixed metaphor situation, a misused metaphor, right? Okay, so I want to get through the last 5, 16 to 20. It's like erasing a board, but not really. Did y'all do anything exciting this week in school? Anything exciting next week in school? Ooh, football match. All right, so this type of question we've been doing over and over since primary school, right? They underline a word and you have to figure out if there's an error. Right? Now, I will say that most of the time, these are not spelling errors. Like all of the time, these are never spelling errors, right? I think, but sometimes we could misinterpret it as a spelling error, but we're not looking for spelling. So for instance, like if they have the word, if they meant to write there like THEIR, but they accidentally put THERE, well, not accidentally, but they put that, this is what is called a diction error. Like before, where they've used the wrong word, right? It's not a spelling error, but we may think of it as one, but it's really a wrong word error, right? So don't look for spelling errors. If you think something is misspelled, then that's either it's the wrong word, like there and there, or complements and complements, or stationary and stationary. That is possible. But other than that, it's not spelling that we're checking for here, right? Right, number 16. Overcome by fear, I ran past my home without realizing that I had done so. It is not no error. There is an error. Okay, so yes, Dina, that is correct. What is the error? Guys, what is the error? Right, yes, Nathaniel, that is correct. The error is 8, right? The past that I ran past is PAST. This past is simple past tense, but I need the past participle. Oh boy, yeah, so many tongue ties. All right, okay, right? Okay, and number 17. In a house of Mr. Biswas Naipaul shows that how a man may struggle against great odds to achieve those things that he most desires. What do we think of for 17? And y'all could work ahead there. There is an error in 17. There is an error. What would it be instead? If you think that's the error, what would it be instead? So if you can't figure, well, that, I mean, there's a way to test to sort of see if you have the right answer. All right, no, the error is not C. The error is A. And as Caribbean people who speak Caribbean English, we say this a lot. I have to tell you that how I am feeling really tired today, or the book is about, maybe not that expression. So it's either Naipaul shows that a man may struggle, blah, 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 or Naipaul shows how a man may struggle, blah, 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 right? One or the other. Both of they have slightly different meanings depending on which one you choose, but we don't need both, right? My standard for teacher used to get very angry when we would say that how when answering a question. Yeah. So that's how it stuck in my head. But that how is something we say. Well, actually, what do we say? We don't say that how. We tend to say that how. I tell him that how the homework was hard, right? So this is a English colloquial, Caribbean English colloquial kind of expression, not in standard English. We just need one or the other. All right, number 18. I believe that if his attitude improves, his general performance will also improve. I'm gonna change the color so this is just easier to see. So this was A, this was A. Yes, I think this is a no error. I am not seeing an error here. If anybody thinks this is an error, you could tell me, I will look again, right? So 18D. All right, 19. Pray, good deeds, and living well with one's neighbors are essential to spiritual health. 19A, right. It should be praying, or it could be prayers. I think praying might work too, right? I mean, what they're looking for is nouns. Noun, noun, noun. So this is a parallelism error. You have a list. You need to say these three things in the same grammatical structure, right? So 19A, 20. The athletes with the worst performances claim never to have used the dangerous drugs found on their possession. What is the error? Right, found in their possession, right? So this is a diction error. They've used the wrong word. On needs to be in. You could say on their person, right? That's an expression that we use on their person, meaning like in their pockets or just in their personal possession, right? But in this expression, they really need in their possession, right? So 20 is C. Okay, and I'll just say this again in case anybody joined us. While we were doing this and not at the beginning, I asked when we do multiple choice that you head up your page, like give it, set aside a page or a section of a page for the whole paper, even though we don't do the whole paper at a time, right? Head up January 2017, number 1 through 60. And so then 21 to 60 will be blank, and we will just keep coming back to it as the term goes on, right? As the weeks go by. All right, let me also say that finally the makeup recording is on the website for the day that we lost electricity. I think that was not last week Saturday, but the one before. So it's just more practice on summaries. It's a little bit on how to take out details and statistics, and then it's a summary passage and the points and the actual summary to go with it, right? All right. So we are working on Jan 2017. All right. Any questions or any problems before we get to statistics? No? All right. So let's continue. I'm gonna count to 10, clear the screen, and we're gonna go to statistics, right? All right, so let's see what numbers I have to write in. So soda loses its fizz. And then he writes and says, Diet Coke is the only top-selling soft drink to consistently gain market share over the past few years, right? Okay, so let's say this is 19. Let's say this is, okay, this is 19 and a half. All right, this is 19. This is 18. Over here is 13. This is 12 and a half. Right? You don't need to write this down. Again, this is for us to practice with sentences, right? About statistics. This is 12. Yeah. This is 9. This is 9 and a half. This is, well, I'm going to say 10. Right? This one is about 6. This one is 5, and this is 5 and a half, right? And you can make out the years below. 01, so 2001, 2002, 2003, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2001, 2002, 2003, right? Okay, and you can tell one is Coke, Coca-Cola. You can tell one is Pepsi. You can tell one is Diet Coke. Do y'all drink any of these? Which ones, if any, do you drink? And this one is Diet Pepsi, right? And how often do you drink it? Do you drink it every day? Once in a while? It's just curiosity, I'm asking. Anybody drinks diet soft drinks? Water is the best, yes. I admire your discipline. I'm so proud of y'all once in a while. That's so great. All right. Let's talk about the trends in here, right? Now, I want to point out two things. In the note that will follow, I've said that most statistical report graphs or graphics or whatever will give you two sets of variables. When I say variables, what do you understand by that? Is that a confusing word? Like if you look at the graph and I'm telling you, you know, there are two sets of variables here. I guess technically it's three. So all right, let's go with three sets of variables. What do you see? Right, so you see market share. So if you're, you know, in maths, this is the y-axis, right? This is the y-axis, right? Right, so this is market share, that's the numbers. What else do you see? You see the years, and so then you see time. And this is the x-axis, right? So that's the second set of variables. And then the third thing you might tell me is the products. But let's say the graph is telling you the market share and the time for each of the products. So I won't count the products as a variable, right? So when you are looking at a graphic, something is being measured on the y-axis and something is being measured on the x-axis. So you have two sets of variables, right? Yes, this is a restructuring. All right. So let's start with what we were doing last time. The first thing we did is I asked you to tell me in a sentence or two, what does this graphic show? What does the information on this graphic represent? So try. Now it has to be, yes, it's the sales of each soft drink, but imagine that the person reading what you write cannot see the graph. So when we say sales, well, the thing says market share, right? So we will say market share instead of sales. I don't know what this cough is or how to get rid of it. So you have to tell me about market share. You have to tell me about the years specifically. And I don't want, yeah, okay. So it is a time period, but remember, they're not seeing it. The reader is not seeing the graph. So you have to tell me the years and you have to tell me which soft drinks. Some people drink Sprite and Mountain Dew. I am not friends with those people, but some people do, right? And what years? We're in 2024. So is it like last 3 years? That would make sense. To expect. So when we write the first sentence about what the graphic shows, we have to put in those things specifically. So try and tell me. Okay, I think maybe my question is confusing. So let me do with you what it is I'm looking for, right? When you're writing a statistical report, the first sentence needs to be a sentence that sort of, it was an introductory sentence. So it has to say what you're going to write about, what you're looking at, right? So the graph, okay, this is not a good color. What is a good color for this background? Yellow? Right. The graph or the graphic, soda loses its fizz. That we'll call that its title, right? Shows data or presents data or offers data on market share, right? So this is the variable on the y-axis for what are these sodas now? Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi. Sorry, I should say and Diet Pepsi. For the years 2001 to 2003. Okay. All right. So what have I put in this opening sentence? I have put the title of what I'm looking at. I have told you what is on the, well, I mean, you don't know it's on the Y or the X, right? But I'm telling you what is being measured on one side, which is market share. It could have been billions of dollars made by the company. It could have been number of units sold. It could have been countries that sell this particular product, but they are showing us market share, right? And then they show us, we have to say it's for Coca-Cola, Pepsi, Diet Coke, Diet Pepsi. So guys, please take down the sentence and you can label it sample or example of an introductory sentence, right? My label is going below, but you could put yours on top. All right. Then afterwards, you could tell me about the observations. But the first thing when you're starting a statistical report, you have to be able to produce a sentence like this. Okay, so take down the example, and then I'm going to ask you to do one more example before we go for break. But take down this example first, right? And the other thing the introductory sentence does is it tells you the years, because that is what is on the x-axis. If someone doesn't see the graph, they will not automatically know what years, what products, what it's showing. So you have to tell them that with your words. All right, so this time we have a table, right? And so it still kind of have an x-axis and a y-axis. Here is the y, right? And here is the x. Now, and then this is the title, right? Right, so try, and you can put your answer in the chat. Tell me in a sentence, what does this graphic show? What does this graphic show? In a sentence, right? So the table, put the title of the table, shows, and then what does it show? All right, good. So you're observing that there's a 4-year gap in the ages and that its cell phone sold from 2005 to 2009. Great. All right, I really want us to put in the title of the graphic, right? So we will say, okay, so this is the title. Everybody can see this as a title, right? So it should usually have a heading. They usually give you one with a heading. If they don't give you a heading or a title, that's when you could leave out the title, right? But the table, and you put in the title, it's like if you're going to talk about a book and you don't say the name of the book. And then maybe the whole class has read the book, but maybe we all had to read 5 books. So you need to say which one you're talking about, right? All right, so number of cell phones sold between, I see the title has the date in it already, 2005, the dates, the years, right, to 2009, shows. Now, do I repeat? So if I say shows cell phone sales or cell phones sold, do I have to repeat from 2005 to 2009? How could I avoid repeating that? All right, so I'm gonna say sold during that period, right? To people age, people of ages. Right, now I have a choice. Some of y'all are saying 4-year gaps. So if we want to use the 4-year gap language, we'll say, let me say it to people from ages 14 to over 30. Nobody over 30 is not in 4-year gaps. So I can't say that in 4-year gaps. Can't say that. So I have to say the whole thing. But I don't have to write the words because the numbers are higher than 10. So 14, nope, 11 to 15, my bad. So people from ages 11 to 15, 16 to 20, 21 to 25. I just prefer the TO to the dash. 26 to 30 and over 30. Right? So what is the title? The opening sentence done? It's given the title of the graphic. It's shown the years that the graphic is going to cover and your report is going to cover, and then it says the age groups. Can you put 11 to 30? Well, I guess you could, but you would have to clarify at some point 11 to 15, 16 to 20, 21, 25, 26, 30, over 30, right? Because if somebody has to, again, the reader, you have to assume is not seeing the table. So if you just have 11 to over 30, does that mean you have information for 11-year-olds and then for 12-year-olds and for 14-year-olds? We don't know, right? So at some point you will have to tell us, and I would prefer if it's in the beginning. Even if it's not the first sentence, and you want to do the second sentence and say the age groups are 11 to 15, 16 to 20, whatever, okay, right? But it has to come early on. All right, so let's take down the example. If anybody has something they didn't send, they want to send it for me to check, no problem. Right, the 4-year age group, the 4-year gap is a nice idea in theory, except for this over 30. So you might have to say 11 to 30 in 4-year gaps and over 30. Yes, Elijah, that is exactly what you could say. 11 to 13 for your gaps and then over 30, right? But you must find a way to convey it clearly to the reader. Okay, so let's take down our example. So far, we've just sort of been making observations about the tables and graphs with statistics. Now we have to actually get to the point where we write the report, right? All right, so the first thing we will write in our report is the introduction. Right. In the introduction, we have to state the title like we did earlier, right? In our example, so one title could be, well, the first one with the soft drink cans was soda is losing its fizz, I think. And then the one just now was number of cell phones, something, right? So we must find the title wherever it is on the graph and put that in our introduction, our first sentence, right? We need to say what type of graphic it is, right? And what are some of the types it could be? It could be a bar chart, line graph, or if in doubt, you could always say graphic. Whatever the question tells you, however the question refers to it, that's how you could refer to it, right? Line graph, bar chart, or histogram, table, right? All right. But a general word for it is still graphic. And then you have to say what it shows. So we said there's an x-axis and a y-axis, right? And the x-axis is going to show one thing, the y-axis is going to show something else, right? So this could be, for instance, what it shows might be the years. It could be well, I said variables, right? It could be some type of numbers, it could be sales, etc., right? All of these are possibilities. And then you need to state what your report is going to cover, right? So a way to introduce that is to say the following discusses the major trends right? Over the time period. For each, whatever it is, right? Whatever the variable is. So it could be soft drink, it could be age group, because just now it was the age group with the cell phone purchases. It could be cars, if it's car sales. It could be I don't know, country, if it's tourist arrivals, right? Whatever the variable is, right? Whatever that is, you'll fill it in according to the actual graph or table that you get. All right. So I'm suggesting that you write an introduction of 2 sentences, possibly 3, if one sentence is too long and you need to break it up into 2, right? And this is sort of a general thesis here that I've written here that you could follow, right? A thesis has to say what you're going to do next. This is a general thesis. Or statistical reports will do this. It will talk about the major trends that the graphic shows. Erase this so we have a little less writing coming at us, right? All right, then we come to point number 2. Right now, for this first statistical report, I'm suggesting 2 body paragraphs. So the first body paragraph, choose a set of variables and describe what happens for each, right? So for instance, each year, what happens, or in each group, what happens, right? So just now, the table we looked at, the last thing was, well, per year, right? And then also there was the age groups. The one before that, it was the soft drinks, right? And it was the years, and it was market share, right? All right. We could start this paragraph by saying something as simple as the graph shows that for, and either you put product, blah, blah, blah happened, or the year, etc. that happened, whatever, right? So we start with the graph shows that, that's our topic sentence, and we say what happened for each variable, right? Now, depending on how complicated the graphic is, it is possible that you could give 2 paragraphs to this, right? So I'm going to put here, or 2 paragraphs, 1 or 2 paragraphs, right? Where you're just focusing on summarizing what the variables show. Right? Any questions about that? Anybody confused? All right. Once we have summarized generally what we see, then comes the point where we have to tell people, okay, well, you know, this compared to this shows that one increased more than the other, or that compared to the other shows that there was a drop in sales, or this, you know, fluctuated over the whole time period, there was no pattern. So compare and contrast the variables, right? How did they do in relation to each other? How do they relate to each other? Is one more than the other? Is one less than the other? If so, by how much? By double, by half, what? Did one increase, the other decreased? We don't know. And I will also add here, try not to repeat self, right? Which should be a given. So if, for example, I said when I was writing body paragraph 1, you know, the cell phone sales for this year group, this age group fluctuated, then I don't need to come back here and say, well, all of them were steady. What necessarily, I don't necessarily need to come back and say all of the sales increased steadily, but this one fluctuated. Maybe it might fit there. Maybe it might just be repetition. I have to be alert to make sure I'm not repeating myself, right? Because it's a short report, so everything will stand out to the reader if you repeat yourself. Okay, then we come to the conclusion, right? We recap what the graph showed. So as discussed for the graph, for the graphic, for the table, I probably don't need a comma there. Let me take that out. You can put back the title if it makes sense, if you think it will be appropriate, right? And then summarize your findings. Overall, sales increased, or sales decreased, or there was a fluctuation, right? It can only be those three things. It could either go up or down or fluctuate, right? So if you look at from year 1 to the final year, what happened, right? But again, we have to be careful not to repeat, to use different words, right? Avoid repetition. Right, so by now everybody is done with this. Does anybody have any questions, anything they want to ask? I'm gonna give you all a minute to finish getting whatever info you need from this slide, right? Right, to the same number of cell phones sold between 05 and 09. And in these age groups, right? So let's look at a possible statistical report. So just as we said before, you all don't have to write anything. If you want to write it, I will share the link to the PowerPoint with you at the end of class, and you could go through, find it, and write it, right? Or you could take a screenshot. The first paragraph is for saying what the title of the graphic is and what it shows, and what your report will discuss, right? All right. So table shows the number of cell phones sold between 2005 to 2009. The sales are presented in 5 age groups. They have an extra 2 there, right? Eleven to 15, 16 to 20, 21 to 25, 26 to 30, and over 30, right? Why did I write the word 30 instead of the number? We will never know. But I'm going to put the number now to keep it consistent, right? Okay, so generally rule is for English, if the number is 10 or under, you write out the word, but over 10, you could write the numbers, right? And if it's a statistical report, you could write the numbers. The following report discusses the major trends, right? Standard thesis says what is going to happen. You can't really deviate from that, right? I mean, it's saying that the report is going to discuss the major trends. That's all it could do. All right, the body. So choose a logical order to raise the points. So I sort of give you a suggestion for one, which is not these. I said, look at all the variables. Look at a variable, rather, and trends. Summarize findings. Summarize findings is city trends, right? And then afterwards, compare and contrast. All right, so annually, sales increased across all age groups except for the 16 to 20 age group, which experienced a drop in 2009, and the 26 to 30 group in 2008. So it's looking at, this one is looking at sales, right? That's the variable. Sales dropped by 1,000 and 2,000 respectively from the previous year. So again, still sales, overall, right? Sales figures have more than doubled from 2005 to 2009. Except in the 26 to 30 age group, so there's the exception where they were this, and then they went to that in 2009, right? So this paragraph talks about sales overall. Okay, let's look at another one. In terms of age groups, so now we're looking at it in terms of age groups. So you took down a note and I suggested 2 body paragraphs, but then when discussion, I said, you know, you could summarize the trends for both variables. So it could be 1 to 2 body paragraphs on that, right? So here's an example of that. So now it goes by age groups. The 11 to 15 group bought the fewest phones in total. The over 30 bought the most, right? Older groups tended to buy more cell phones than their younger counterparts. So that's just explanation of what you saw, not why you saw it, right? But what you saw. The exception to this is the over 30 group in 2005 and 2006 when this group purchased more units, right? So we said exception. So we're just summarizing what we see on the table, right? Yes, basically 1 paragraph on the x-axis and 1 on the y-axis, basically, right? But you know, like depending on what they ask you and what they give you, you might need 2 on x and 2 on y. I don't know, right? All right, I will send you the link to this. If you want to take a screenshot, you have 10 seconds. All right, let's go. All right, the conclusion. So general trends restated, no repeats, no new info, no reasons. This is very important, right? We do not give reasons in our statistical report for CSEC. We don't know why. We don't know why the thing happened, right? So we just say what we see happening. As shown, sales generally increased in the period. Additionally, the over 30 group seemed to be the largest purchaser of phones. The older the group, the more phones are generally purchased, right? So those are our overall trends. Sales increased, over 30s, older the group, the more they purchased. Right. Anybody wants to ask a question? Okay, so let me send you the link to the PowerPoint if anybody would like to take down the example. That is the only potential homework you have, right? Take down the example. Right? That is the link to the PowerPoint. All right, so let's just recap what we did. We did the first 20 questions of January 2017, and we spent our time talking about how to organize the information in a statistical report. Most of our time was on introducing the statistical report, but we have a format for the whole thing. We looked at 1 example. Next week, we're going to do one together, right, in class, and then next week you will get a homework assignment to try one on your own, right? All right. Just a reminder of my contact information, Ramlagan, Michelle at gmail.com, right? But I'm not expecting any emails. So if I miss a response to an email that you sent to me, 796-7733. Just send a WhatsApp message, right? All right, any concerns, any problems, feel free to stay back and address them. If you're good, you have all the information you need, you're free to go, right? Enjoy the rest of your Saturday.